Okay. All right. Today, see, last week we saw about AI automation, and we covered the basics of AI automation. What is automation? How does it become AI automation? What does it take? And what are the primary tools? So, two of those platforms, right, which let you do automation, primary ones are Zapier and Make, right? These are, I wouldn't say age-old platforms, but these guys are big shots in automation area. All right. So let's go one by one. Okay. So we're going to. Okay. So why Make and Zapier? The primary reason for Make and Zapier is because these are no-code automation platform. What does it mean? You don't have to write a single line of code for any action that you have to perform, right? Everything is drag and drop, either drag and drop or you a linear flow where you keep adding your modules one by one, right? Whether it is integrating with Google Forms or Google Sheets or email or whatever it is, there's just no level of coding required, except of course for when you're using API, the application program interface. That's when there is some level of technology involved, and technical knowledge is required to be able to pull off an API integration, but otherwise it is completely made to the level of a non-technical person, right? So anybody who logs in and is able to understand the flow, knows what the flow is, he should be ideally able to do his automation using Zapier and Make. Okay, so that is the reason why Make and Zapier are preferred. But again, these are not AI automation platforms. These are automation platforms. So even before your GPT existed, these guys were there in the market, right? To do integrations, to run, to integrate between applications and for data flow and everything. These two platforms existed along with other platforms also, right? So this is not an AI automation platform. It's just an automation platform. But when you integrate AI into it as another app for decision making, logics, right, and for summaries or finding the intent, so that's when you convert it into an AI automation flow. All right. So key concepts, whether it is make.com or it is Zapier, the key concepts are the same. There is a trigger which triggers the flow, which starts the workflow, an action which follows a trigger. Right. So the tasks that have to be performed after the trigger occurs. After the trigger occurs. Data flow is again the primary concept where your data is flowing between applications and everything is orchestrated by these automation platforms, right? Of course, for integrations where you don't have a native integration available, you can do an API call and send data or fetch data from there. So that is also possible. So these are concepts that are by default natively available inside both the platforms, and they run the show primarily. All right. So let's go to Zapier, right? So like I said, Zapier is widely recognized in the market as a leader, right? And it's a no-code automation platform. Hmm? So each of your workflow is called a Zap inside Zapier. Let me go to. I'm sure you've seen this, but we'll still go through it, right? So this is your home screen. So our primary focus today is Zaps, right? So Zaps are each Zap is a workflow, right? So we can just for an example, we can check out something here. Hmm? So we have a form that captures lead. We send it through ChatGPT, extract the necessary details, pass it on to Google Sheets, and then a mail is sent to me, right? So we have a form here integrated which triggers whenever somebody submits the details, all right? And then immediately next is sending it to GPT to extract content. So GPT is the second level integration. And then you're passing the data to Google Sheets to store the data. This is acting as your database here. And then finally, your email notification, it goes to me. So like I said, core concepts of Zapier, SAP is your automated workflow. Trigger is what starts the flow, right? So it is new email, form submission, etc. Action is what happens next after the trigger, the tasks that are performed after the workflow is triggered, right? So send a message, create a spreadsheet, etc., etc. Okay, so these we haven't seen. So filter is used. These are conditional logics, right? So if my data contains this particular word, then go through this flow, perform this action, right? So those kind of logical activities are taken care of. Filter and also by path, right? We'll see both of them now. Let's go to the same one. There. Okay, so this is path basically, right? So there are two things that you can use: filter and path. Filter, yes, no. Path, if yes, go this way; if no, go this way, right? So two conditions. Okay, whether depending on what condition is satisfied, it selects a path. So in order to add that, you just have to go here, add in the flow, and you have paths here and filter, right? You add a filter, it'll add something like this, and then there. So only continue if I'm able to satisfy a particular condition. Okay, so you select the condition whichever is required and then you pass on. So with filter, you close the chapter there. In the sense, if the condition is not satisfied, the flow stops. Whereas with path, you're saying if the condition is not met, you go to path B instead of pathway. Okay. And the other one that we should see is formatter. Formatter is basically something that lets you play with the formats, right? So let's say date and time, numbers, text, right? So so this will help you transform your, let's say, your text, right? From, right, it's right here. So capitalize, uppercase, title case, lowercase. So basically when you, I don't know what examples you've seen, but concatenation, right, substring, etc., you can run here. This formatter helps you do that. Why is it important? Because it comes handy when you're running through these filters and paths, right? So it is important. It is an important player in this area. So does it contain this particular word, right? So select path A. Otherwise, you go through path B. So these are, so this is very simple. See, basic concept of Zapier and Make is to be able to integrate between different apps and keep the data flow going until you attain a particular objective, right? So here, what is the objective here? My end objective is to create a document in Firestore, right? Using the data that is being passed. So what am I doing here in this flow? I'm getting a new SMS. I'm passing it to GPT, right? So it extracts all the data for me, and then we are splitting parts.
And then based on condition,
Based
document
on the
is
condition, you're taking either path A or path B.
part B.
So it's all about integration between multiple apps and the data flow, right? So if you look at the same thing in Make, right? Let's go to the PPT. I spend time preparing it. Anyways. So we've seen this, right? So okay, Make.com, right? So basically, your Zapier is allows you to do automation. Zapier allows you to do automation when you have fixed path and logic defined, right? So you're saying if A, do B, if B, do C, and then you send the data to E and then F and then finish off the workflow. So these are linear workflows where you know everything that is basically happening. Uh, this guy make basically gives you a little more flexibility, right? And it gives you options like loops, branching, routers, and data aggregation. So these things help you decide on the go whether you want to go to A, go to B, go to C, right? So that is the difference between the Zapier and Make, right? We'll see the actual difference when to use Zapier, when to use Make.com. All right. So Make, the concepts of Make, right? Scenario, modules, router, iterator, aggregator, error handling. Scenario is your Zap in Zapier, right? Modules, if we have to do a comparison, modules is actually each item, including the trigger and action in Zapier. So Zap in Make is scenario, right? Trigger and action is modules. We'll see in the UI. One second. Router, iterator, aggregator, and error handling. I'll explain it in the UI itself. It's much more easier to look at it that way. So this is my login on make.com, right? So you go to scenarios. So scenario again is where all your workflows are stored. Each workflow is called a scenario here. What was it called in Zapier? It was called Zap. Here it is called scenario. So there you go. Let's open this one. Looks simple. We'll see. Okay. So these are your modules. So the one with the clock here is your trigger. The one without the clock is your action. It looks very kiddish, but this is a very powerful platform essentially, right? So I'm saying when new rows are added in Google Sheet, you create a new message. Okay, so this was almost like what you just asked in the previous this thing. So okay, so these are modules, each one of them. So this is your trigger, this is your action, ideally speaking, but they're called modules. Now, how do I add more modules to it? How do I integrate more apps to it? You click on this plus, it gives you a list of applications to which you can basically integrate, right? So let's say I want to send it to GPT. I want to make it an AI agent, basically. Ideally, that is the whole idea, right? So message an assistant, and then you send your instruction as to how you want how you want GPT to actionize whatever you're sending, right? So you select your assistant that you have created. Okay, assistant is a bad idea. Hold on. Let's add GPT again, but this time we'll do a completion. A completion basically is where you send a prompt and it responds with the process data. Okay, we'll select whatever we want here. You add your instruction. You add your instruction here, and then you send your user data. Basically, this guy. Yeah, this is not a single. So this is how you integrate GPT. Now, what if you actually receive multiple rows here to begin with? You want to loop it through each, right? So what you do is you introduce a loop, flow control, iterate. Okay, there you go. That easy. So this data will be iterated here, and each time it will run through blah blah blah, right? So that is how this workflow is done. We saw path in Zapier, right? So
Yes, sir.
similarly, we can do something like that here also. Flow control, may you go to router.
Router.
Okay. So let's say I move this guy, disconnect this guy, and I add this guy. So now, I mean, this flow doesn't make sense, but just for the heck of it, right? So data from Google Sheet running through iterator, then we push it to a router. What does the router do? It lets you split the
Two
path,
condition.
right? So either two conditions, or you want to make it run two ways, it will let you run two, branch it out and run, right? With the same data, operate this, operate that, finished. But if you want to attach a filter to it, you click on this, set a filter. The idea is very simple. You select whatever data that you want to filter on, right? So let's say status, right? I'll say equal to open, right? This can usually the best way to do it is equal to case insensitive. So it won't fall for this capital, small type characters, right? So that's it. So we have status open here. We can do a status closed here also. That is it. So this branches out the flow either using a condition or without a condition. It doesn't mind. I can actually remove this and save. And what will happen is there's no condition. No matter if it goes here or not, it will still go here. So if this condition here is satisfied, it will go here. And since there's no condition filter that I'm putting here, it will go here also, right? So both ways it will pass. So this you can do. This is a splitter, your router, right? It splits the workflow. So similarly, there are so many inbuilt tools, right? So you this parser, the text parser actually helps you with your conversion. How you saw in Zapier, the formatter. So similar way, your text parser helps you with converting and matching patterns and much more powerful than your formatter, right? So similarly, there are many tools that it provides, which will help you form a much more stronger, logically defined workflow. So one of the major examples is your variable setting, right? So in Zapier, there's just no way of doing it, but here you can set a particular variable and give it a value, and that value can be called at a later point down here or something like that, right? You don't have to depend on anything. So these are all this make is much more sophisticated than Zapier, but you don't have to worry too much, right? So um, it has a lot of features. It is a very good tool, but it is a good to learn tool also. So in that sense, you can always depend on Google or GPT whenever you're stuck. Anyways, so Zapier versus Make.com comparison, right? So like I said, linear trigger action, right? For Zapier, this is visual branching and looping is available for the flow. For loop support, Zapier does not have any loop support, right? Make allows you to loop through using an element called iteration, right? API handling webhooks are only available here. This guy provides full HTTP client. So proper API calls can be made from this guy from make.com. Custom API calls. Okay. Learning curve, of course, Zapier is very low. Make is moderate, I would say, not high. It is just a few differences between Zapier and Make. If you're able to cover that difference, the delta difference, you'll be able to do Make very easily. Okay. Cost, yes, medium cost for Zapier, and this guy is pretty on the higher side, right? So choose Zapier for simplicity and quick deployment. of make.com when flexibility in visual design and complex logics are paramount. That is, we'll see next screen also. Okay. All right. Google Form to AI summary to email. Okay. So we can build this particular scenario and we can use either Make or Zapier, right? So what it's asking us to do is to when a user submits a new form in Google Form, it should in terms of the project is okay. The form data is sent to OpenAI's GPT model, which generates a concise summary of the submission. And then action 2 is AI generated summary is then automatically sent via Gmail to XYZ people. So we can definitely try this out. I'll make it here first. So, all right, create a new Zap. We have a blank screen. Oh yes, so this is this is something called a Copilot, which was I think new last year. I guess I don't know. So here you can actually define what you want to do, and it lets you fill up all these by automatically, right? So this is basically like an AI which is working for you, building the flow, right? So we can try this also. Let's go here. Blah blah blah. Okay, so we can copy this guy, put it in the Copilot. Oh, you want it done manually? Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
So so ignore this part. Yeah, we can go and directly use this guy. So trigger, what is the trigger? The trigger is when somebody
Form.
submits a Google form. So we search for Google. There you go. Have you used Google Forms?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Hmm? So what is it? So once you add an element here, you have to come here and configure it, right? So what is your trigger event? New form submission, right? Triggers on a new form response is received.
See.
So so you select this guy. You have to of course do an account. Let me just do mine. Okay, so Google form for Gmail apps is done. You go continue. You should select a form. So I guess I have a form somewhere. I don't know what it contains. I just select it. All right, but this lets you proceed. So setup is where you select your app and then you connect your account and you provide the trigger event. Configure is where you select the other parameters, right? In this case, it is what form do you want to connect. So that is the form that we connected. We go continue and then it lets you test your trigger. So when I do a test, what it does is fills up dummy data and submits a form like this one. Okay. So this is what happens when you submit a form. You have your company name. So the form basically captures all this, right? I don't remember what this form was for, but anyways. So it is capturing data, say message, right? Product URL, email name, etc. etc. So we'll continue using this response, continue with the selected record, and then it moves on. So what was the other thing that we said? We want to send it to GPT,
Check.
right? So you say GPT here. Very good, super. Chat GPT, or is it OpenAI? Should be here. No. Da, da, da. Okay. Consider using AI by Zapier for this step. You can select couple AI models during the including the latest from ChatGPT. Nah, my scenario does not have that, so we'll proceed. We'll continue. Okay. So standard actions: analyze image, analyze text. Check moderation, clarify conversation, send a message, change in the chat. This should be the one. Chat completion, no? Okay.
Sir, we have to use summary, no?
We have to get summary, but it's not necessary that we select that.
Select.
I'm just checking if there's something new that is added. Okay. This is summary, enter log text, generate summary. You want to look at the bigger thing, right? So go this. Hmm? Select my GPT account. So if you haven't already mapped it or connected to Zapier, it will again give you that web box with
Okay.
your sign in option and all that. And probably even ask you for the API key. Okay, your model selected, user messages. What should be the message?
Google Form.
Hmm?
The Google Form.
Google Form data, right?
Yes, sir.
So we can do a message. Let's assume message is where all your data is filled. What should be an instruction? Summarize data being submitted or something like this. Okay, and that's about it. You send it. You go to the next one where you test it and test. So the usage was input token 22, output was 32.
32.
So the output text seems like you're referring to sample. So we sent in garbage that is throwing out garbage. So nothing to worry. But ideally, your output text is where it will give you your the data that you wanted. So this should ideally be a mail response or a new email body. Okay, and then we go to the next step where we are sending an email from Gmail. Correct? That is the use case, right?
Yes, sir.
The AI
To
generated
link
summary is then
members.
automatically sent to Gmail. So this is what we are doing. So we've selected the Gmail app here. You want to see that again? I'll show you. So you click on this plus which says add step, and then we select where is Gmail. There it is. Okay. So the app is Gmail. Action is, what is the action? Create an
Send an
email,
email.
send an email. Reply, send. Okay. Select. Okay, na? Okay. All right. Now we continue. We enter the details as we need it for two from, right? So let's just say your from will be your default ID that you use to connect. Okay. From name you say these are not mandatory, so you don't have to worry. Subject. New lead receipt. Okay, body type can be plain or HTML to HTML body. So that's good. So you click on the plus sign here, it will let you select whatever data you already have, and you can actually go to, in our case, for our case, it is your this thing GPT response that we received, correct? So we go to, where is output text? Output text done, right? You can also format it, so you can say Hi, we have received a new lead for which you can see the summary below. What are we doing in this flow? We are receiving a message from the user. We are using GPT to summarize it and generate a response, right? So summarize the message, and once we have that message summarized, we're sending it as an email. So when you're
Okay.
sending it as an email, you have to add that output, the GPT output, to your email. Okay,
Okay, sir.
and then you can add your signature, whatever is your signature, and label it or mailbox, whatever. Right. So continue. These are not mandatory. You can leave all the non-mandatory fields unless the user insists or you have data to fill for those. Right. Continue, and then test. So it has sent the email. So this, while we are building, we are doing the first test, right? And then we can continue testing it. So this is it. Your use case is satisfied, right? Trigger, receive submission. Action, summarize with GPT. Second action, send a Gmail, send a new email, right? Gmail. So that all those conditions are satisfied here. You can retest it by clicking test run, and then you can go to the form, submit the form, and then this flow will automatically trigger and run. Okay, so let's move on.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to make.com and do the same kind of scenario. So you tell me what should be the first step.
The Google form.
Form. Okay, so it has a clock. This becomes a trigger. So it's already connected to something. Hmm. So the form is connected, right? This limit is how many submissions should I pick for every time I'm running. So let's say I'm running it every 15 minutes. This guy will fetch only 2 form submissions.
Okay.
And after 15 minutes when it runs again, it will pick up the next 2. So this you can you usually use when your workflow is very heavy and it requires time to execute, right? So you keep it very low. And in cases where you have your token per minute restriction for GPT calls or Claude or anything else. So for those kind of things, you can do a limit. Okay, so we are saying choose where to start from now on. Save. Okay, another module. What is the next module now? GPT, right?
Chat GPT.
Chat GPT. Create a completion model mini. Okay.
Sir, we can choose any model, no? It
You
is
can
not
choose
specific
any
to one.
model. Any model is fine depending on the cost, right? So every time you call GPT, there's a cost involved. So depending on the criticality of the this thing, your GPT call, you can select if you want a mini or you want your full-fledged GPT 4.1 or 4.0, right? So it depends. So you add your message where you say system, you say summarize the input text, input message. Yeah, and you say go here, you select user and you select the message from here. Anyways, so this is done. Input as message, image is not required, and we're good. So we have system and user, and we're good. Okay. So what is the next step in this? The next step is to
Gmail.
send a Gmail, right? So you can do a search. Send an email. Okay, create a connection. Will connect to. Hmm. Is it Gmail? It is Gmail. No. Okay. Whatever. Okay, we can do this later. So you give like we did in Zapier, you can do a
Zapier
subject and you can do a content. So for content, you're taking the output from GPT, right? So
message output.
result is your output from this guy. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and you say so you fill your two and other details here, and then you send it and you save it. I don't save for me because there's something missing. But anyway, so this is your same use case created in make.com. Trigger, form submission, action GPT summarize, action to Gmail, send email. So we did that in make. We can do that in this thing
Make.com.
in Zapier, and then we can do the same thing on make.com. Now the question should be when you're integrating these steps, you are able to test it at each step, right? So you were able to test send email, you are able to test this GPT call, right? So how do you do the same thing with this guy, right?
Make.com.
So what you can do is, let's say you don't have this guy connected yet. Okay, you want to test data from the Google Forms running to
Chat.
ChatGPT. So all you have to do is run once, right? You fill the form, open the form, fill it, submit it, and click on run once. It will pick up the data and pass it on to GPT directly. So that is how you test it step by step. So right now it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense too much because it's only Gmail, right? You're sending an email to Gmail to someone using your Gmail, and you're fetching the result here and attaching it to the body. But what if you have some other app in between, right? For which you don't know what the output can be. Hmm? So in that case, we have to run it once so that we can see what the output from this module is, right? So that is where run once is used. So once your this flow is ready, say your Google is ready and everything is done, so you want to deploy it. How do you deploy it? You go here, you have this piece here which says every 15 minutes you so you can hmm. So you just have to click on this toggle button and it will enable this flow. Okay. For free accounts, it will allow only every 15 minutes run. If you are on a paid account, you have subscription, you can actually run it up till every 1 minute, as low as 1 minute. Okay. In Zapier, is it? In Zapier, it's easy. It has a publish button. Okay.
Yes, sir.
On the right top, there's a publish button. So once you're done making all this, you can just click on publish and it will go and sit in your home page like this. Not in your home page, your Zap list, right? So it'll go sit like this. This is the
I get
entire
it.
list of Zaps, and when you publish it, this will go this side like this. Okay, turn on there, right? So when you once you publish for your that particular workflow, it will show the status like this, saying the Zap is on. For all the others, it will be off or
Off.
disabled. Okay, so that is how you'll know that your Zap is running. It runs 24 hours depending on your conditions. Okay, so not to worry. Now, couple of things that you have to be very careful when handling workflows or designing workflows using Zapier and Make. You should always use filters for any trigger or action as far as possible so that your cost is reduced. Okay, let's say we are monitoring an inbox, your inbox, Gmail inbox, or my Gmail inbox for all the new incoming emails. So we do a filter so that we don't actually, number one, search other folders. We are focused on inbox. Number two, we will only focus on emails from particular company or particular name. We will not attend to notifications, right? So because each email or each workflow execution is money, it will cost you something.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir,
you
I
have
get
to
it.
reduce your flow execution so that it is very accurate and focus on what exactly you want, not on everything, right? So if you focus on everything, it will cost you a lot. So you have to keep your this thing runs minimal. So you have to use filters everywhere. Sometimes there is, you can expect delays, like when you are calling an API or a webhook in case of Zapier. So you have to expect delays. So you can add delay modules, different things called here, but you can figure it out and add them. Error handling is very important because to the user, he won't be able to see the error. He won't even know if this thing is not working. But in the backend, things might be bombing. You may never know. So in those cases, you have to know how to handle errors. Like the other day, I told you when we hit the token per minute limit, we used another
Yes.
GPT account to continue parsing that particular email, and then in the next loop, it'll move back to the primary flow. So that is how you gracefully handle errors, right? It is better to stay organized, especially if you are designing for others. You should know which workflow you design for whom. So when you use folders, you name it according to your clients or your customer. It's much better to manage the zaps or scenarios. Zaps in Zapier, scenarios in make.com. Okay. And it is always important to reuse templates. All these automations are not new, nothing new. In fact, you go and check Zapier, they will have ready-made templates, right? Where is it? Home. See, they will have templates, popular templates, and stuff like that. You can use these templates, or whatever you build new, you can reuse for other clients, or when situation asks for it, you can reuse it. Reusing it saves a lot of time for you. Okay, so that is the other most important. Next slide.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when to use what? Zapier when it is simple and linear, no confusions, no loops, no logics, complex logic, nothing. You want to quickly deploy a workflow and tell your client, done, I need your money. Okay, so in those cases, when your workflow is very easy and linear, everything is defined, use Zapier for quick deployment. When to use make.com? When your flow is pretty advanced, multi-step scenarios, right? Complex logics. Hmm? So in those kind of cases, for example, like I told you, when if it requires looping, etc. So that's when you go to make.com. So finally, it is set here. Think Zapier for quick automation assistant, make.com for powerful automation engine. Got it? So like I said, create account for make.com. I think Zapier you already have, and try to replicate your outbound voice flow, right? And see
Yes.
how you can make it. It will be very difficult because it was a very complicated scenario that you chose for automating, and it will be much more difficult in Zapier and Make. But I'll help you with that when we connect next, or you send it to
Yes.
me, and I will help you with that. No worries. Okay.
Sir,
Huh.
sir, in Zapier we built that Google form and ChatGPT and email,
Hmm.
but in Zapier we do not have loops. So how can it go for 1 to 100 Google forms?
So that is very simple, no? Let's go to that app. Did I save it? Yeah. No.
No.
Ah, this one. See, again, what is the trigger? The trigger is, what is the trigger?
goal form submission.
No, trigger event. Look at this trigger event. Whenever a new form is submitted, when a new form response is received. So it doesn't say I'll wait for 5 forms and then collect it. And this is not running
Whenever.
time bound. Time bound. This is not time bound. So every time a person clicks on submit, this flow will execute. No matter how many people are clicking submit at that particular point, this flow will automatically trigger for every form that is being submitted.
Okay, sir. I got it.
Okay. Only when you
Yes,
time
sir.
bound it, you say, you know what, run this flow every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That is when you get a bulk of it and then you end up in a loop. So in this flow, loop is not required.
Sir, in case of loop, how can we use that?
You will not be able to use this guy. Zapier is hopeless if you have a looping requirement.
For that, we have make.com.
You have to go to make.com. So make.com
Okay.
is a perfect example because this will trigger only every 15 minutes, right? So
Yes, sir.
every when it triggers every 15 minutes, it will have probably 5 or 10 or 15, 20 or maybe 50 or 100 forms submitted. So that is when you actually use a loop here, right? So insert a loop here and click.
Iterator.
There you go. That's it. Okay, so you select. So what is the array? What is the data array that I have to loop through? Will be your forms that is submitted, correct? So let's say message. That is it. So every 15 minutes it will run. It will probably have 5, 10, 15 messages. For each message, it will initiate this loop and run through this.
Iterator.
Got it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So this is a perfect example for your question. Anything else?
No, sir.
You good, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you let me know when your flow is ready, and
Yes.
we can go through it, even if it is outside of your this thing.